Welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. Our interviews are mainly recorded to be transcribed, but every now and again we release the audio in a series we call Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you enjoy what we do, be sure to subscribe. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, we speak with Irish language rapper Fay'd. He talks about his virality, working with producer Don't Choke, Gaelic drill, his thoughts on an album or an EP, fluctuating between Irish and English in his lyrics, the influence of Irish on his music, and more. Yeah, so I was wondering if I could just start by asking a little bit about your background, how you kind of got into music in general, and kind of what made you want to become an artist yourself.
Yeah. Well, it all started while I was in like secondary school. So like most of what I did up to then was kind of just um like instruments. I was like a musician. I played piano, not very well, a few lessons, and then I met my producer in boarding school actually, and he was all into this the digital audio workstations and FL Studio, and he loves making these EDM beats. And I saw it and I was really intrigued and I wanted to know more. So I would always like come to his room and just start watching him as he's doing all these beats and stuff. I thought it was really cool. And yeah, he made one this one time. It wasn't really EDM. And he asked me to write on it. I was like, I try my best. And it just kind of started from there. And you just love making music. And that's literally how the first song came about. It's just writing, and I did this all for fun up until I really thought, oh, maybe I could actually take this somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
And how old would you have been, like roughly? You were saying secondary, so it would have been like 15, 16 kind of?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16 was when I started roughly. Yeah,
And yeah, how do you feel like your music has changed over that time? Because I mean, obviously, sorry, actually, if you just want to give a shout out to your producer as well.
yeah. My producer Chris
Yeah,
goes by Don't Choke. That's his performance name or
yep.
producer name. Yeah, Chris. Don't Choke. That's what I call him Chris in the studio. But he goes by Don't Choke. So shout out to him. He's class, amazing.
I mean, you guys have been working together for so long. Do you feel that your music, sorry, that your if there's any change, let's say in your music, that's a change that's happening in unison, or do you think like individually he goes one way, individually you go another way, or how do you feel about like working in such close quarters like that?
I I think it's definitely in unison
Yeah.
because at one point when it came to making music, I was terrible at articulating what I wanted.
Hmm.
And as our chemistry grew and we made music more and more together, he was very good at articulating what I want.
Yeah.
Like, because for me, I'd explain to him like the boom boom like doesn't sound this way, and he's like, "Oh, you mean the 808?" So I was like, "Yeah, that one."
Yeah.
And like it became a thing of as we go on, he kind of realizes that if there's something that I feel is missing, he can kind of find what it is based on you know a pattern of what I like
Yeah.
or what I'm used to or what I enjoy in my sound. And it's become a thing of when he makes a beat for me, he knows he likes, Fade loves strong 808s. He likes really complex melodies mixed together in some kind of weird beat that's not really generic kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely in unison. It's almost like he can read my mind and he kind of knows what I like in the sound. Yeah, definitely in unison.
And then when it comes to kind of you as a writer, then like what do you what kind of inspires you to kind of write the music? Like what do you feel like is your stamp, I guess?
I think sometimes I go off the theme. So when I first started out, especially like I needed a theme to write on. I remember starting off, I wrote on mental health, because that's how the first song alone came about.
Hmm.
We were kind of just like in the shit of COVID-19. It's November 2020 when I dropped the song. So we just past March when the lockdown started. And I was just thinking, this is kind of like, this is shit.
Yeah.
So that was the first team I went off, mental health, how like everyone's isolated kind of thing. And then moved on. I kind of made a song about 2020. That was the theme. 2020 as a whole, reflection on everything bad that went on. And then as I went on, I moved from teams to just kind of writing for vibes, I
Yeah.
guess. And that's when I started making more things that just whatever came to mind, I just spat it down on the pad. And yeah, I think the process is more like it's gone from going off a theme to more creating a kind of vibe that everyone's kind of, just feels the vibe kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the best way I can describe it, like, really.
Yeah. So actually, your new single at the moment is called "Promised Land." It's the latest one. It's a collab with Zed's Bar. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was wondering, like, if you can maybe talk a bit about that track, for example, and how you feel like maybe that one differs from your other previous tracks.
Yeah. Well, I met Zed's Bar at the Red Line Festival, and it was kind of really cool. We had Cello as the writer in residence, and it was kind of just 4 weeks of us coming together as creative minds and just making music. And I heard Zed's Bar rapping. It's like when Zed Zara raps, his rap is just real.
Yeah.
It's authentic. I love his originality, and he's not following a kind of style that everyone does. Like he kind of has his own kind of flow. And when I went to him, I said, "Let's make a song." And we were looking for kind of beats to go off, and we found one, and we decided to name it Promised Land because at the Red Line Festival, all we could think about is how we had like dreams of success in this music industry. And we know it's not easy, and we know we all have our own personal struggles when it comes to being creative and our backgrounds and stuff like that. But we can come together with a common goal, and that's like reaching the promised land kind of thing,
Yeah.
being the top of this game. And that's kind of where it came from. So I guess you could say that one was we had a theme of, um dreams of success for Promised Land. I
Yeah.
think that's what we wrote off. Um, if I'm comparing it to other songs, I think when I wrote Promised Land, it was more the I think it just came to me. Really, it was lyrics came to me, and they fit the theme. It's kind of just playing on my mind the whole time, and I was just able to say that goes well. Let's put that together. And I don't write lyrics as verses altogether. I kind of just write lines, and I just join them up together, kind of thing.
Nice. And there is a line in the song where you say representing Éire. Do you think that's something that's always going to be, I guess, kind of keeping you, I guess, grounded in that sense, where it's like, even if, like, for example, if you got international fame or acclaim, there's still that kind of, I don't know, there's still that kind of connection, I guess, to where it all started, let's say.
Yeah, I think I want to always wherever I go in this music, I kind of want to show where the roots are from, show that I'm from Ireland, and like I want to put Ireland on the map because I don't feel like Ireland gets enough recognition.
Yeah.
Like there's so much talent in Ireland, so everywhere I go, I don't care how big I am, I'm gonna mention some part of being Irish in my music, whether it's the language I rap in or something to do with something about Ireland that you wouldn't really find anywhere else in the world. Yeah, I think most of my songs going forward just want to say, I'm Irish. And like just because I appear, my complexion doesn't appear Irish in a sense, I still am Irish and I can still, show that I am through my music.
Yeah, I think you mentioned there your complexion, but I think it's kind of cool how versatile like being Irish is. Let's say like I think like now people are kind of coming around to the idea that like being Irish isn't just being pale and having red hair. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like it
love
is a
that.
versatile thing, and I think it's really cool. And I think you're seeing not only are you seeing versatility in terms of just aesthetics, but I think you're also really seeing it in the music that's being produced. You see people from all over this country really taking kind of influence from uh, domestic music and international music and really making very interesting art in it. And I think you're part of that
Yeah,
trend.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, just creating kind of genres or filling a new niche kind of thing.
yeah,
I know for me, like I guess one niche I'm thrown into a lot would be Gaelic drill,
hmm,
and it sounds like what is that? But I think yeah, it's like drill music. It's you hear drill in the UK, and you hear about how drill is kind of a UK genre, how it extends over to America. I think drill actually started in America,
yeah,
but yeah, it's a very popular kind of sound in America and the UK. So when it comes up to over to Ireland, and Ireland, us as Irish people, we kind of made it our own kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's not just the generic drill that they do in, America or the UK. We kind of have our own twist on it.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, it's about, having our own sound, filling niche, having a niche kind of thing,
I
filling
think
that
also
gap.
creating new stuff along the way. I mean, I think we're creating sounds that just seem very new and seem very unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it could be put into a category of, oh, this is from this place and the Irish have twisted it. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely new stuff there as well.
Well, you gained a lot of notoriety for a drill version of an old Irish poem, which I'm actually familiar with, but it's called on Spailpín Fánach, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, on Spailpín Fánach, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not, my Irish is really
you're
bad.
grand. It's a Leaving Cert poem.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny how like I came like that when I made that song, um, all my music up to then was just fun, fun, fun. We just do it for our personal enjoyment, me and Chris, in our rooms, kind of just making music. When Spot Being Final came around, it was more like a thing of I'm doing this for fun.
Yeah.
And it all came off just me not wanting to do a class test, really. And I was like, yo, miss, you can give us anything but a poetry test. I hated poetry, me personally, and I hated being quizzed on the Irish poetry because I didn't know how to, I guess, write a good answer for a poetry question. So I was like, miss, if you postpone this test, maybe I might make you a song on Irish poetry. So, we kind of made the song. And we're like, hold on, this song's kind of good. We might want to release this one. And yeah, we did release it, and the reception to it was insane. Like
Yeah.
I kind of remember, the first time it started to kind of bubble was I was working with my friend over the summer, and my boss calls on the phone. It's like, your song's on the Ryan Tuberty show. And I was like, you're having, I looked away right. I said, hey, are you having the laugh? I almost ran. I ran to where I could find the radio. I pulled out my phone. I said, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then, you hear a lot of things like the email started coming in, and people were like, "Did you make that song? Did you make that song?" I was like, "Oh my god, people really know about this song."
Yeah.
And then with TikTok and all, like posting it on TikTok,
Yeah.
that went crazy as well. And yeah, I think it was I think it was just something new to the ears that was
Yeah.
like different. And
Right.
I think that's what got it where it was. And I think I want to keep creating that kind of sound. I don't want to stick to this genre that everyone's already doing. I kind of want my own sound kind of thing.
Yeah.
So once I started rapping in Irish, I think I enjoyed it. No going back from there. I was like, yeah, this is why I enjoy it. I like it.
Well, you mentioned that was fun. I think you get that sense from the song, and I think that fun transcends into the audience because, it's like, it's Anthem Fay'd, and it's just like, shout out Miss McKeown and stuff. And it's just like, it's really funny. It's like, but it's not. I don't know. It's like, um, do you think like because then we're saying I think with like kneecap we're seeing like the Irish language kind of as thing and to be fair it's not necessarily a new phenomenon. I mean I think in the 90s there was like scary era and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I mean it's kind of it's sort of something that's being done, but I wonder, do you think people will dismiss it as a novelty, or do you think there's actual it's just a legitimate artistic medium? It's anything else?
I think no, I think it's as legit as anything else, really, because I'm not the only one doing it. Like, sure, you said it, like Kneecap are doing this as well, and they're doing a great job at it. And they've built a huge fan base of having their own sound, making music using the Irish language. And you have other artists that are using the Irish language in their music as well, and that's getting a lot of traction as well. So
Yeah.
I believe it's something that it's not just oh, this is fun, but yeah, let's leave it aside now. I think it's something that's going to keep going for
Yeah.
a long time,
Yeah.
and I
I
plan
think
to run with it.
I think the cool thing is that, like, as we were talking about this kind of versatility, where it's like, if you said, say, even 20 years ago, if you're like, yeah, I'm going to do all Irish language, like, people are like, that's career suicide. You know what I mean? They'd be like, you can't, like, you know what I mean? It's like, no one's going
Yeah,
to listen to it, except maybe, I think, if you're like Planet or something, maybe you will. But
yeah,
like, other than that, it's just like, but like now it's like, no, we're in such a kind of, I think, um, not only diverse, but I think very accepting to new sort of new modes of thinking in a way where it's
Yeah.
like people, are kind of accepting. I mean, like you look at Kneecap and it's like they're touring around Europe, they're touring it, like, and even though
Yeah.
like people there don't speak Irish,
Now
it's
it's
like,
class to see. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
Um,
really cool.
yeah, it is definitely. Um, yeah, I love seeing that, and I'm really happy to see that people are accepting the new sounds and they're not just tossing them to the side because it's not what they listen to regularly.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that, and I hope that when I do release my music as well, that people are just as receptive, because I think it's something that's started and it's gone very well, and I don't think it's going to fall off anytime soon.
No.
You know.
Yeah, and when it comes to like you rapping both Irish and English, so how do you, when it comes to writing a song, decide this one should be an English track, this one should be an Irish track?
I think it comes down to many things. Firstly, like how I'm feeling is my like because I'm not always in a creative mindset where my mind's thinking in both languages and I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah,
I think it's like if I'm in the creative zone and the Irish comes to me and it kind of fits in,
yeah,
then let's put it in kind of thing. And like going back to what I said about, embracing myself being Irish and putting Irish and putting Ireland on the map in my music.
hmm
If I can, I always will. And sometimes it's not always easy to make Irish lyrics fit in with the
sure.
English as well. Like I look at him like, how can I put Irish in here? It's like, there's no chance. I have to pull out a folklore sometimes. Here, and like it gets to the point where I put an English word down at the end of a line,
Yeah.
and I'm looking through my folklore. What rhymes? What rhymes? What rhymes? And I need to see can I actually make bars with this?
Yeah.
But no, every opportunity I get, I don't. It comes down to many things, but mainly my creative mindset at the time, as well as the kind of beat I'm making. Because let's say if I'm making, sometimes I could make like in Cloud9, I kind of had like a bouncy kind of Afro beat,
hmm
and sometimes it may not always fit in there. So it comes down to the beat, my state of mind at the time that I'm writing the lyrics, and if it all comes together, and if it does, amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, and the other thing I'd like to ask is like now it's interesting, like because you rap in Irish, like how you see different avenues then open up. For example, TG Carey, I know you've worked with them before, and it's like, and you kind of feel like just by that one simple change, like it kind of new listenership kind of opens up in a way. Do you find that kind of like people who may not otherwise listen to hip hop um because of the language it's in, they're maybe a bit more perceptive to it or anything like that?
Yeah, I was very happy to get contacted by TG Caher and making a song with them and seeing how receptive purely Irish speakers were to it. I think it's great to see, and I'm always trying to reach new listeners any chance I get. So you know, seeing that avenue and seeing that there's fully Irish speakers who may not even speak English that are listening to this and they're loving it.
Yeah.
And it makes me really happy and it encourages me to want to do this more. And I hope like, with each song I make that I can incorporate, an element into the song that can reach a new kind of audience.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. I'd love to see more of it.
One thing I'd be interested in getting your opinion on is when, ever since I think the foundation was, say, about 100 years ago, post-colonial, it's I think a big project has been the preservation of the Irish language and to make it popular. They've obviously most of it is through education, but it seems like for a lot of people, they go to school for 14 years or whatever, and then Irish just becomes kind of a residual memory at best,
Yeah.
which is kind of the fate of it. Do you think the kind of artistic expressions that people like yourself do can actually help elevate Irish in the sense that if you're actually connecting it to something that's in pop culture and something that's and again I think this is what TG Carter does, like translating, like for example SpongeBob to Irish, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
something like that where it's just like it's something you're taking, something that kids are kind of interested in their case, and connecting the Irish language to it. I was wondering, basically what I'm trying to ask is do you feel that these kind of creative expressions can do some good in terms of actually trying to turn people on to maybe relearning the language or such?
Yeah, definitely. Like for me, like even being in school, like I was only in doing the Leaving Cert last year,
Hmm.
and it kind of frustrated me to see that some people just consider Irish a Leaving Cert subject,
Right.
and once the Leaving Cert's done, it's a language they don't need anymore. That kind of frustrated me, and I was like trying to see, how can we like make Irish cool in a
Yeah.
way. And I think that's what TG Cahir is doing so well. Like they're putting it in they're giving Irish more exposure by doing stuff like such as having movies in Irish and you know getting artists to make songs in Irish. And I think by bringing like the Irish language to the forefront in these kind of mediums and through artist expression and stuff like that, I think we can really like bring back the Irish language and have it as something more than just a subject you study for the leaving cert and leave it at that. I think Irish is much cooler than that. It's much better than that. It's a language, not just a subject you do a test for.
Yeah, I think the kind of the negative knockoff of the way it's done in their education system, as you were mentioning, people say it's just a leaving cert subject, and then they'll never have to deal with it again. Where I think it unfortunately kind of creates a sort of resentment for the language, where it kind
Yeah,
of makes people sort of like go, "Oh, for fuck's sake, I have to do this." You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
it's like that shouldn't be how it is. And but then when you kind of give people the language in the sense of um not quote unquote forcing it upon them. Like there was that film, I think it was called The Quiet Girl. It came out like a year ago, and it's been like it's an Irish language film, and it's like
yeah,
it's apparently like been in the cinemas for over a year. It's like really popular. So I
yeah.
think like the zest is there for it, the interest is there for it. I think a lot of people want to learn it, but I don't know like how we kind of correct that and kind of make it go like
Yeah.
no, don't resent it, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's more like yeah, I think giving people exposure to it like in ways that are just not in a way that's like challenging,
Hmm.
in a way that you're just exposed to it and it's not really forcing it upon you. It's more like just letting it come to you.
Yeah.
And like even I notice how people are receptive to the language when I put like the on Spailpín Fánach song on TikTok
Hmm.
because at the start of the song you have Quid a Leaving Cert. And I read the comments and like I'd say that 20% of them were saying the trauma from the start of the song is
Yeah.
crazy because they just think when they hear that it's exam mode or when they hear that
Yeah.
Irish language, it's almost like instant pressure kind of thing.
Sure.
And I don't want it to be like that. So when the rest of the song comes in and they're like, oh, okay, it's more vibey than you thought. It's not just, uh, a thing where you're trying to learn it. I think a load of Leaving Cert students really, really opened up to it because for me as well, the way I felt, I think it was the first time that I found Irish like fun in a sense. I felt like I wasn't pressured to do the Irish. I felt like I let it come to me. Whereas if I see other videos of on Spailpín Fánach, which I guess they're for educational purposes,
Yeah.
you have the correct pronunciation word for word, all that stuff. And I felt like when I made the song, it's more like a thing of you remember it because you enjoy it and you don't feel forced. So I for the orals especially, like a load of people that I know were like, oh, I'm so happy that song was around then. Because when I was made to read the poem, I wasn't thinking of your man who goes Spailpín Fánach and the slow one. You're thinking about the upbeat, high energy one that was kind of fun to learn. And
Yeah.
I feel like if we can have more of that, I think it'll be so much easier for the Irish language to spread in
Yeah.
Ireland.
And I think yeah, you're definitely making a contribution to that.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to ask is, do you have plans in the future for an EP or an album or anything like that?
Um, yes, I do. I've set myself a goal to have 15 songs ready in a vault by the end of this year. But in terms of releasing it, I have no plans right now. For me, it's just let me try and work on what I have so far. Let me try build more traction for Fay'd,
Hmm.
and if my sound that I release in singles gets enough traction, and I can see that people are really receptive to it, then I might consider an EP or an album, because I just have to think about how will I promote this? How will I market this?
Yeah.
All that stuff, because I don't necessarily have a team. It's just myself, my producer, and friends who are also creative. So, if I can find a way to, strategically put out this album EP and, invest the resources that I have to kind of getting it to spread,
Mhm.
and then most definitely I consider it. But for now, maybe just the singles.
Yeah, and I think actually singles are a good way because if, I was saying I forget who I was talking about this with, but I was saying before, like if you're releasing singles periodically, it's kind of keeping the attention. Where it's like if you drop an album or an EP, it's like it's done, and then that's it for like 5 months or something. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. I want to be constantly present, kind of making my music and
Yeah,
give people something to look forward to with my
yeah.
music as well. So
The other freedom I'd say with singles too is that when you do an album or an EP, there's expected sort of continuity between songs. Where I feel like with singles, they can kind of be their own fresh thing each time.
yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, so I think it's like sick, and then like maybe like by the time you like if you release like a bunch of singles over I don't know course of a year or something like that, maybe then you'd be like, okay, when it's time to do the EP or whatever, you kind of go
Yeah,
like, this is why I want to go. Like I'm confident now because I think each song is obviously a growing experience, right?
yeah. It's all part of like finding your sound. And I think with each single I release, I learn something from it. I learn about, you know, I guess what I'm good at or what I'm better at when it comes to making music
Yeah.
and what I could work on. So like for example, like when I released the song and I was rapping, it's like how could my cadence be more, how could I improve my cadence? How can I improve the way I flow on a beat? And then there's also, for example, Cloud9, can I actually sing kind of
Hmm.
thing?
Yeah.
So I'm learning every time that I release a single about what I'm good at, what kind of sound that I enjoy making.
Yeah.
So
When
yeah,
it comes to performing live, do you find crowd interaction be a good indication of the direction to go, or do you just kind of go, I have to kind of drown that out a bit?
no, I'm always watching the crowd.
Yeah.
Every performance I do, I watch the crowd and I see like, am I getting heads to turn with
Hmm.
this performance? Um, am I seeing smiles or am I seeing like someone point like what's this lad on
Sure.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
So with each song, I look for a reaction. I try to engage with the audience every time. See what they're enjoying, what they're not enjoying. It contributes to my music, and I have friends that are always in the crowd, and they're not really there to watch me perform. They're more there to say, you didn't do this song so well. This song was actually very good. Do this again, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So
So
yeah, they're plants.
yeah, yeah, and it really helps. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
helps when you
No, I
crowd.
imagine so. Like, and that's cool though, man. Because like you're talking about like having sort of a team if you were to build a team, but it's like I don't know. I think like a lot of I've talked about this before, but I think like a lot of times the kind of homegrown sort of just person connections in a lot of ways can kind of be thing. Like I've been talking to a lot of people, especially in hip hop, who are kind of like sort of forgoing the traditional label route to do like collectives instead. And I feel like again like I don't know. I think the access now is gotten to such a point where it's like I think becoming a kind of independent artist in the traditional sense of the word is a lot more viable than ever.
Yes, yes, most definitely. Yeah, I don't even feel like, if I get to a stage where a label does want me, I feel like it means that what I'm doing as an independent artist is going in the right direction. And I
Yeah.
should keep doing that instead of, changing my lane to a label. So I definitely hear that. And I think, you know, the options when you really look at what it means to be, have a record deal, it's not as appealing as it really looks,
Yeah.
sometimes. So I think I really enjoy being independent. And I think when I say I want a team that can help me continue to prosper in the music while being independent,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. That's perfect, man. That's everything I had to ask. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, or?
Um, I guess promote my new single that's coming out. I've got a new single. It's called Waves in Éire, actually.
Yeah.
So I do rap in Irish and that one a bit, and yeah, I look forward to everyone hearing it. I think this one will do well. With the plans I have for it.
What's the
In
release
terms,
date? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're God. I don't even have a release date. That's
Okay.
the truth. but it's going to be sometime probably in July.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah, I'll have everything ready to release by July,
Perfect.
mid-July.
Sorry, just to finish your thought before I cut you off. So you're saying that you were talking a little bit about this new single. So what's your feelings on it, sir?
Yeah, so it's in the single I kind of talk about, how like the Irish scene is heavily underrated
Mm-hmm.
and how like, they a storm is brewing for the Irish industry and if you're not ready, you're gonna get hit very hard by the storm because it's not just me. So many Irish artists are just like they're bubbling and they're ready to explode onto the UK scene, the American scene and I use a bit of Irish in it, and it's really bouncy kind of vibe where I kind of have that, your instruments for like a Cayley, it's like Cayley music,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I mix that with drill, so it's kind of a fusion. So I can't wait for everyone to hear that one. And I think it's better than Spailpín Fánach, if you ask me.
Okay.
In terms of production quality and my flow, my cadence, my lyrics, everything. So I
Perfect.
can't wait. Yeah.
Perfect, man. Looking forward to hearing it. We'll definitely run it when it comes out.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you
Thanks, man.
so much. It was great to have this interview.
Thanks,
I
man.
really enjoyed that.
Appreciate it a lot. Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for more.